Greetings everyone and welcome to the video presentation of Pinpoint, our take on solving the M-Cross-N sparse matrix storage and retrieval problem provided to us by ONDC under the Build for Bharat hackathon. So how are we basically solving this M-Cross-N sparse matrix problem? Let's discuss more about that. For that, we are using Redis. Redis is basically an in-memory database. It is known for its very fast retrieval time and it is very efficient for searches. So in Redis, we are particularly using the Redis set data structure. What Redis set data structure basically allows us to store the merchant ID as the key of that set, and inside that set, we are basically storing all the pin codes which are serviced by a merchant. And to do those, we are basically using two different types of Redis functions. First of them is a set add function, which basically allows us to add any new member to a set if we specify the key value of that set, in our case, which is the merchant ID of the set. And we are basically using is a member functionality in Redis, which basically allows us to check if a pin code is a member of the set or not. So to basically implement both of these adding and checking functionality, we have created our own set of APIs. And to know more about our APIs, you can refer to our API documentation to get a better understanding of them. And in this pin code API, we have basically created two APIs. One is a post and another one is a get API request. The post API request basically allows me to send the CSV file containing all the pin codes serviced by that merchant, and the get API request basically allows us to check if a particular merchant services a pin code, and we provide two parameters, the merchant ID and the pin code, and we can check if our merchant services that pin code or not. So I'll show you a demo of basically uploading pin codes for a new merchant. So let's take a look into that. First of all, I'll add in my email ID and my password as usual. After that, I want to do it for a new merchant. So first of all, I'll show you our Redis database. This is our Redis database. And as you can see, it is clearly hosted on Google Cloud. And these are all the merchants which are currently in my database. And each merchant set has the key value as the merchant ID. And all the pin codes which are serviced by the merchant are in the set. And I want to add a new merchant to my database. So for the sake of simplicity, I'll add the merchant ID one. I'll provide it with the CSV file of the pin codes. I'll just upload that CSV file from my computer. And yeah, and this is the CSV file which I am uploading right now. As you can see, it mentions about like 1500 pin codes from 000 to 1500. And I'll just hit submit. And now we can again go back to our Redis database. Now the pin codes are being uploaded. And now let's refresh the database. Now you can see a new merchant with merchant ID 1 is here already, and all the pin codes which were in my file are already stored inside a set. And all of this basically happens in almost real time. And this is the get request which we can hit to check if the merchant services, and see the merchant ID 1 services 110026. Now let's say enter an invalid pin code which was not part of my CSV file which I provided. Like this is not a real pin code, and see it will immediately return me false, and all of this happens with very low latency. And so this is the entire pin code API which we have created to basically store the pin codes and the merchants in the Redis. And we have also designed an e-commerce basic page to basically enable you to see how our application works in a bigger picture. So this is a watch page which we have created. Here we can enter our pin code and check if any merchant sells this watch. I'll enter a wrong pin code first. And yeah, it will show me that none of the available merchants sell my watch right now. And let's now try for a real pin code. I'll now try to enter my own pin code, which is 110026, and I'll check for it, and in almost real time it shows me it's deliverable, and these are the merchants which deliver my watch. So all of these merchants are already predefined by us. We have created a MongoDB database where we store information about the product, which is the watch, and the merchants which sell that product. In our case, we have already predefined these three sellers, and we have stored the information about the sellers in a MongoDB database, and you can query only for those sellers. But you can also add your own sellers and basically check for them as well in our front end. So to do that, all you have to do is follow our APIs, and we have created APIs which basically allow you to perform CRUD operations on our MongoDB database. It allows you to basically add a new merchant, add a new product, as well as define the relationship between the merchant and the product, and basically define the price at which a merchant is selling a particular product as well. And we have created the following steps, which is defined in our pitch deck. You can refer our pitch deck and follow these steps 1, 2, 3, and step number 4 to basically add your own merchant and query for that in our front end. So I'll basically walk you through the entire process. For that, we'll basically be utilizing our three sets of API: the product API, the merchant API, as well as the quote API. All of these API enable us to basically add a new product merchant and to enable that merchant to sell a particular new product. So first of all, what I need to do is I need to create my own merchant to sell this watch product. This watch product is already pre-created by us, and it has its unique product ID which we have shared in the pitch deck. And first I'll create my new own merchant. To create that, I'll use the following post request which enables me to create my new own merchant, and I'll specify the name of my new merchant as the Real Watch Company. I'll add in its address and a brief description about the company, and I'll send the post request to create my own merchant in the MongoDB. So the request was successful, and now I've received this ID. This is my unique merchant ID, which is unique for each and every merchant in my database. This is my merchant ID, and now and all the forthcoming requests I'll be working with this merchant ID. Now I've created my own merchant. Now I want my merchant to sell this particular watch product. The watch product is already created. Now I just have to append the list of my merchant ID in that watch product so that my front end knows that so my MongoDB knows that this merchant sells this particular product. So I'll send this post request to the watch product ID, and I'll add in my new merchant ID, which I just got. I'll send this request, and yeah, it was successful. As you can see, my merchant ID got appended to the list of merchants which sell the watch. And now basically I have to define the price at which my new merchant is going to sell my watch. For that, I'll use the quote API and basically define the product ID and the merchant ID and the price at which I want my new merchant to sell the watch at. I'll append my merchant ID in the query perimeter, and the product ID is that of the watch, and the price I'll set a new price of about like 5100 for my watch. I'll send my request, and it was successful, which now I have established a relationship between successfully established this relationship between my product and the merchant. Now I'll basically go back to the front end. I'll refresh the page, and I'll again try entering my pin code and check if my new merchant is will pop up. And it still won't pop up, and you know why? Because we have not yet added the list of pin codes which my new merchant will service. And for that, we'll go back again to the seller app interface and add in our ID password, add my new merchant ID which I just got when I created my new merchant. Again, add the file of the pin code, uh, which defines the pin codes which my new merchant will service, and again upload it and again send the post request to my Redis database. I'll refresh my Redis database just to make sure and see a new merchant got added, and there is my new merchant and all the pin codes which are serviced by him. Now let's again go back to the buyer app and again query for a new again query for my pin code. And yeah, almost in real time we got my new merchant as well here, and it is that simple to basically add a new merchant and make it and check and query for that merchant here. And all of this was done by using our APIs. You can refer our API documentation in depth, and I'll recommend you go through it carefully. And by following the steps mentioned in the pitch deck, you can easily add your own merchant and then query it in our buyer app. Thank you.